My name is Clara Nguyen. I'm 29, and I can tell you the exact moment a quiet apartment stops being a home and becomes a stage. It was last Thursday night, the kind of Bangkok evening where the city hums like an aquarium in the distance, neon leaking through the blinds, traffic sighing, a ceiling fan clicking every fifth rotation like a metronome that wants to be noticed. I was curled into the corner of our gray couch, socks on, reheated pad thai on a chipped plate, scrolling through an email thread about a campaign launch I'd already fixed twice. Background noise, the streaming app's menu loop, a synthy wash that always sounded a little lonely. Liam walked out of the bedroom. He didn't sit beside me. He dropped into the armchair opposite, the one that makes you look like you're visiting rather than living here. He smoothed his shirt like he was about to give a speech. Then he looked at me with that personal trainer focus, counting reps, measuring breath, and said, very evenly, I've decided we're having an open relationship. Not a question mark in sight, just a period that fell between us like a brick. I blinked, because my brain did that stubborn thing where it tries to put yesterday's labels on today's disaster. I heard the words. I understood the meaning. But there's a lag when the knife is new. You've decided, I said. Yeah. He nodded like he'd just announced takeout. I've been thinking about it for a while. We're young. We should explore, experience other people. It's healthy. My mouth remembered how to form shapes. When did you decide this? He gave a little shrug that read, don't make this a thing, which is his favorite way of making things huge. Does it matter? I'm telling you now. I leaned back. The couch creaked the way it always does when we curl into each other on Sunday mornings. Except it was Thursday and we were nowhere near each other. Open, healthy, explore. Words that sound like yoga poses until you realize someone's asking you to twist your life into a shape you didn't agree to. 4 years together. 2 years living in this apartment whose rent I negotiated and whose plants I keep alive. We've had rough months. Him training late, me glued to work, both of us pretending busy is a virtue instead of a slow leak. But I thought rough meant repair. He thought it meant rearrange the walls. Okay, I said. He blinked, the first hairline crack in his confidence. Okay? Yeah, I said, and my voice came out steady, almost soft. That's actually perfect timing. There was a tiny twitch at the corner of his mouth, a glitch in the performance. Perfect timing. I tucked my phone under my thigh and let the quiet thicken. The fan clicked on beat 5. Outside, a motorbike flared and faded. The world kept doing what it does best, moving on. He tried on a smile that didn't quite fit. So, we'll need rules, right? Like, we should tell each other everything, and no catching feelings, and we'll figure out details. Maybe you should have thought about them before deciding for both of us, I said, not unkindly, just handing him his sentence with the period still attached. He stood, paced, sat back down. You're being really calm about this. Should I not be? I asked. This is what you want, right? Yes, he breathed out too fast. Yes, it is. Cool, I said. It tasted strange, that word, like eating ice after a burn. Then we're good. We stared at each other for a moment, and I could practically hear the gears turn in his head. This wasn't how he'd pictured this. In whatever script he wrote alone, I cried. I begged. I negotiated for pieces. He didn't write the version where I nod and let the door he opened stay open. He cleared his throat. For transparency, I've had a few people DM me, and there's this girl from my gym who... Liam, I said. What? You don't owe me a trailer, I said. If we're doing this, we're doing it. You already decided. He flinched once at the word decided. He wandered to the kitchen under pretense of water. He drank straight from the filter like he always does. Long pulls that make his throat work. My eyes tracked the same apartment they always do. The coffee maker he swears is mine because I use it more. The plants. The framed photo from Koh Samui where he's squinting into the sun and I'm laughing into his shoulder. If you didn't know the story of us, you'd think it was simple. 2 people in love, 2 toothbrushes, 1 life. If you do know the story of us, you'd know that simplicity is just a filter you slap on the mess. He came back with the water, then remembered he didn't actually want to sit beside me and pivoted halfway. I think we should tell people we're still together, he said. Obviously, just open. We? I asked, telling people? His jaw worked. Right. I'll tell Chloe. She'll understand. And Sunday, my mom's dinner, let's still go together. It doesn't change the basics. Oh, I said. Because if my life was a movie, this is the part where the soundtrack swells just a little, like it can smell smoke. You think this doesn't change the basics. We're still us, Clara. He used the tone he reserves for clients about to quit. Encouraging, firm, trace of righteousness. We're just adjusting. I watched him. 4 years teaches you the difference between a man thinking and a man performing thought. He was performing. He wanted to be the reasonable, progressive boyfriend with the mature solution. He wanted the photo at his mother's house and the messages in his gym bag. He wanted to be applauded for honesty while smuggling in permission. I'll grab a shower, he said, glancing at the bedroom like it might applaud too. Early start tomorrow. Okay, I said. He paused in the doorway, turned back. And the perfect timing thing? I smiled with my mouth, not my eyes. You'll see. He frowned the way someone frowns at a locked phone. Then he disappeared into the hiss of the shower, the door swinging almost shut, and then catching on that sticky hinge we always say will oil. The water ran. I let my body loosen by degrees, one vertebra at a time, until my head hit the back cushion and I could feel the outline of my skull, the full weight of the thing inside it. I didn't cry. Not because I'm brave, because I'm tired of donating my salt to someone else's ocean. Instead, I thought about the coffee shop down the block, the one with the fern wall, and the barista who remembers oat milk without me asking. Not Cassidy. God, no. That's Liam's orbit, and the rules, when they come, will be his rules optional and mine binding. I thought about a different name, one that had brushed my life by accident last month during a client meeting. Noah Martinez. Heather's son, Heather Martinez, the regional manager at Liam's company. Noah is not my type, or maybe he is, and I just like lies less than I used to. He'd laughed at something I said about ad spend and asked if I ever took my own advice. We'd never even traded numbers. It didn't matter. The point wasn't Noah. It was the universe's love for irony. Because here's the thing about doors. You open one and light spills into places you didn't mean to illuminate. The shower stopped. Pipes groaned. Liam came out with that fresh-skinned look he gets, towel knotted viciously, the way he ties things he's afraid will come undone. He dressed in that soft black t-shirt I like, and the joggers that cling to his hamstrings like memory. He moved around the room with the confidence of someone who trusts his body more than his judgment. I'm going to bed, he said, voice light. You coming? In a bit, I said. I want to finish this deck. He yawned, kissed the air near my head, not quite landing. Night. Night. He vanished into the bedroom. The fan clicked its fifth beat. The neon pulsed. I let the silence settle the way dust does after a demolition. Soft, insistent, everywhere. I opened my notes app and made a list titled Things We Decide Together and left it blank. Then I made another titled Things Already Decided for Me and typed, We are open. We are still us. We will attend Sunday dinner, holding hands like theater. I stared at the third bullet until it went out of focus and turned into two. Then I added a fourth line I didn't fully understand yet. I won't be the only one who has to live with his decision. I locked my phone and listened for his breathing beyond the door. I counted the seconds until it evened out. I thought about the gym girl he didn't name, how long you have to talk to someone to feel brave enough to rebrand betrayal as exploration. I thought about Chloe, his sister with the detective eyebrows, and the way she reads rooms and people and him better than he reads himself. When I finally stood, the plate scraped the coffee table with a sound that made me wince. I washed it carefully, set it in the rack like it was the last fragile thing I owned. I turned off the lamp and the screen and the part of me that needs to be asked before the furniture is moved. I stood in the dark living room for 1 full minute, let it memorize me as I am tonight, calm, cold, clear. He thinks he opened the door. He doesn't know I've already walked to the threshold. Perfect timing, I whispered to no one, and meant it. By Friday morning, I'd stopped flinching at the word open. It had already begun to lose its meaning, the way a word does when you say it too many times. Open, open, open. It starts to sound like nothing, like air escaping from a cracked jar. The sky outside our apartment was a washed-out gray, Bangkok's usual dawn mist rolling between the buildings. Liam was already up, lacing his trainers at the door. He looked freshly caffeinated on self-righteousness. I'll be at the gym for a while, he said casually, like we hadn't detonated our relationship 12 hours ago. Okay, I said without looking up from my laptop. You're not mad? I smiled faintly. Would it change anything if I was? He hesitated, waiting for a reaction that didn't come. Then he left, the door clicking shut behind him with the same quiet finality as last night's decision. The coffee shop was nearly empty when I arrived. A familiar comfort, soft indie music, the scent of espresso and rain. Cassidy, the tattooed barista Liam always mentioned, was behind the counter, wiping down the espresso machine with practiced ease. Her hair was up today, a streak of copper catching the light. I wondered briefly if Liam had mentioned me to her. Probably not. Men like Liam never introduce their decisions until they're convenient. She noticed me. Oat milk latte, right? Yeah, I said, surprised she remembered. Cassidy smiled, the kind of smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Rough morning? Something like that. She slid the cup toward me. Happens to the best of us. There was no flirtation. Not really. Just empathy. That dangerous, disarming kind that feels like understanding. I tucked a few bills into the tip jar and gave her a small nod. Thanks, Cassidy. Her brow lifted, slightly amused. You know my name? Liam talks a lot, I said. That made her pause, confusion flickering across her face. Then she laughed softly. Of course he does. I left before she could ask anything else. That evening, when I came home, the apartment smelled like cologne and citrus. Liam's getting ready scent. He was standing in front of the mirror, fixing his shirt collar. Going out? I asked. He didn't meet my eyes. Yeah, meeting someone for drinks. Oh. He turned, testing me. You? I might, I said, closing my laptop. Why should you have all the fun? He blinked, surprised. I didn't mean... Relax, I cut in gently. We're open now, remember? The silence that followed was delicious. We both came home late, separately, quietly. I didn't ask where he'd been, and he didn't ask where I was. He looked tired. I probably did too, but for different reasons. Sunday dinner came faster than expected. Liam's mother insisted we attend, claiming, "It's been too long since we've had you both over." I agreed, partly out of habit, partly out of curiosity. I wanted to see how good Liam was at pretending. The house was exactly as I remembered, perfectly arranged, painfully polite. His mother's roast beef on the table, wine glasses that caught the light like tiny spotlights. Liam turned on his charm immediately, hand on my lower back, little laughs in all the right places. If you looked at us, you'd think we were fine. Maybe better than fine. Except his sister Chloe wasn't buying it. She watched us between bites, her expression hovering somewhere between suspicion and pity. At one point, when Liam was helping his mother in the kitchen, Chloe leaned in and whispered, "You look different." "Do I?" "Yeah," she said quietly. "Calm. That's not usually a good sign." I smiled faintly. Maybe calm is overdue. She studied me for a beat. Just be careful. He's been acting weird lately. Texting during workouts. Leaving early. I met her eyes. You don't say. The next afternoon, I was halfway through an email when my phone buzzed. Chloe, were you at Rosewood Bar last night? Me. I wasn't. Why? Chloe. Thought I saw you, but Liam definitely was. With someone. Me. Who? Chloe. Cassidy. From the coffee shop. The one with the tattoos. Pause. Chloe. He wasn't hiding it, Clara. They were sitting close, laughing. Her hand was on his arm. I stared at the message for a full minute, not because it hurt, but because I was almost impressed by how fast he'd turned open into opportunistic. Me. Thanks for telling me. Chloe. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. Me. No, you should have. It helps. Then I added, don't mention this to him, please. She agreed. She always liked me better than she liked her brother. That night, when Liam came home, he was humming. Actual humming, as if he'd just nailed a perfect workout, not crossed the moral finish line with someone new. Good day? I asked, stirring noodles at the stove. Yeah, he said, grabbing a water bottle. Met a friend for dinner. Cassidy? His hand froze on the cap. What? I turned off the burner. your friend from the coffee shop. She's nice, right? He blinked, caught off guard. Did she say something? No, I smiled faintly. Chloe did. His expression cracked for half a second before he recovered. You're checking up on me now? No, I said softly. You're the one who decided transparency, remember? He exhaled sharply. You're twisting this. Am I? I asked, meeting his eyes. You want it open. I'm just making sure the door swings both ways. We spent the rest of the night in silence, not the peaceful kind. The air felt thick with unspoken rules neither of us had agreed on. By Monday morning, the whole apartment seemed to have absorbed the tension. I could feel it in the walls. Even the plants looked like they were holding their breath. Then came the text. Chloe, you might want to know something. Cassidy's last name is Martinez. Me, okay? Chloe, as in Heather Martinez. She's Dad's regional manager. Liam's boss's daughter. I froze. That meant Liam, in all his impulsive brilliance, had decided to start his open journey by dating the daughter of his boss, the woman who oversaw half his department. I could almost hear the universe laughing. I typed back, Thank you, Chloe, that's helpful, she replied. Are you going to tell him? Me. No, he'll find out soon enough. That evening, I found him at the counter, scrolling through his phone with a self-satisfied smirk. Hey, he said casually. How was your day? Enlightening, I said. Yours? Pretty good. Met Cassidy again. We talked for hours. Really different. I bet, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Different how? She actually listens, and she's creative. Her mom runs a regional office for some corporate thing. Marketing, maybe? I asked lightly. He blinked. Yeah, how'd you... Just a guess. The silence stretched. The gears started turning in his head, slow and creaky. Then the color drained from his face. Wait, her mom's Heather Martinez. Mm-hmm, I said, opening the fridge. Your boss. His phone slipped slightly in his hand. Oh my God. Small world, I murmured, pouring myself water. You really should have thought about those rules. He looked at me like I'd set a trap, which, in fairness, I hadn't needed to. He'd walked into this one all on his own. You can't tell anyone, he said quickly. This could ruin everything for me. I won't have to, I said, leaning against the counter. You're doing that perfectly yourself. That night, I lay in bed beside him, watching the ceiling fan spin slow circles, counting every click like a clock. The irony was poetic. He wanted an open relationship, and the first door he walked through led him straight into professional disaster. But I didn't feel triumphant, just calm, like watching rain hit a window, inevitable, predictable, slightly sad. He shifted beside me, half asleep. You still awake? He mumbled. Yeah. You okay? I will be, I whispered. Eventually. He reached for my hand in the dark, out of habit more than love. His fingers brushed mine, hesitant. I let him, just for a moment, before pulling away gently. There are nights you realize you've already left someone, long before you ever pack a bag. And as I stared at the ceiling, I thought, this is what it feels like to play the game by their rules, and still win. By Tuesday morning, I'd stopped checking my phone. It died. Not because I didn't expect messages, but because I already knew what they'd say. Guilt has a rhythm. It always starts the same. Silence, then excuses, then panic. And right on cue, my screen lit up. Liam, 7:48 a.m. We need to talk. Did you tell anyone about Cassidy? Liam, 7:49 a.m. This is serious, Clara. Heather found out. Liam, 7:52 a.m. Don't ignore me. You have no idea what you've done. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I hadn't done anything. The universe had, and it had simply used Chloe's curious timing as its favorite messenger. By noon, the messages escalated. Liam, 12:06 p.m. You can't keep seeing her. This affects my job. My entire department's talking about it. Do you even care? Liam, 12:09 p.m. This isn't funny. Stop pretending you don't know what's happening. Finally, one message that made me pause. Liam, 12:15 p.m. You're doing this to humiliate me. I looked at the text for a long time, almost laughing. The arrogance of thinking I'd gone out of my way to destroy him, when all I'd ever done was give him what he asked for. So I wrote back a single sentence. We can talk tonight, about the rules you forgot to make. He was already pacing the living room when I came home. The apartment lights were on full brightness, a habit of his when he's anxious. It made the place look like an interrogation room instead of a home. He turned toward me the second I closed the door. You knew. I dropped my bag gently on the couch. Knew what? That Cassidy is Heather's daughter. I didn't. Bullshit! His voice cracked. Chloe told you, didn't she? I tilted my head. Does it matter who told me, or does it only matter that you didn't think before you leapt? His chest rose and fell too quickly. You don't get it. This could ruin my career. Heather's furious. She said this crosses professional boundaries. I told her it's my private life, but... Private, I said, cutting in. You mean the thing you declared open in the middle of our living room? He blinked, thrown by my calm. Clara, come on, he said, softer now. You're smarter than this. You know I didn't mean for things to get complicated. That's the problem, I said. You never mean for anything to get complicated. You just make decisions and expect the world to sort itself around them. He ran a hand through his hair, the nervous tell he tries to hide. Fine. I screwed up. I should have thought this through, but can we please agree to end whatever this is with Cassidy? She's Heather's kid. It's conflict of interest. This could get me fired. I set my keys on the table with a small clink. You said we needed rules, remember? But you didn't make any. You can't add them now because you're scared. This isn't about fear, he snapped. This is about loyalty. I laughed. Short, sharp, humorless. Loyalty died the moment you made a unilateral decision about our relationship. Stop twisting everything. Then stop handing me pretzels, I said, voice low. You wanted open, Liam. You got it. You wanted freedom. Congratulations. It's yours. But don't look at me now because it's suddenly inconvenient. He took a shaky breath. I thought we could try something new. I didn't think... That's exactly the issue, I said. You never do. For a moment, silence. The air between us was heavy, humid with everything unsaid. Then he spoke again, voice quieter this time, almost confessional. There's something else. Of course there was. He wouldn't look at me when he said it. There's this girl from the gym, Alina. We've been talking for a few weeks. I stared at him. Before or after your big announcement? His throat worked. Before. Right. My laugh came out hollow. So this wasn't exploration. This was insurance. It wasn't like that, he said quickly. I wanted to be honest with you. I figured if we were open, it wouldn't be... Cheating? I finished for him. Say it. You figured if you rebranded betrayal, it would feel less like what it is. He stepped toward me, frustrated. I didn't cheat, Clara. No, I said softly. You just rearranged the word until it looked like freedom. For the first time, he looked scared. Not angry, not defensive, scared. Can we fix this? He asked, voice cracking at the edge. I tilted my head slightly. Which part? The job you might lose or the relationship you already did? He flinched. Don't say that. Why not? You said we're open. That means we're not us anymore. We're whatever this is. Fragments orbiting a decision you made alone. He took another step, softer now. Clara, please. I don't want to lose you. I stared at him for a long, long moment. Then I whispered, You already did. And I walked past him into the bedroom. He didn't follow. He never does when the fight's already lost. I packed a small duffel, not everything, just enough to make a point. Clothes, charger, laptop, toothbrush. When I came back to the living room, he was still standing in the same spot, head in his hands. Where are you going? He asked without looking up. I need space, I said. You can have the apartment. I'll stay with Jenna for a bit. You can't just leave! I smiled sadly. That's the irony, Liam. You did. I'm just catching up. Jenna lived 15 minutes away. When she opened the door and saw me with a bag, she didn't ask questions, just stepped aside. Wine or whiskey? Surprise me, I said, dropping the bag by her couch. She poured whiskey into mismatched mugs, her brand of empathy. So, what did he do? I told her everything, every line, every pause, every we're young justification. By the end, she was silent for a long time. Then she said, Do you realize how calm you sound? Yeah, I said, swirling the whiskey. I'm past the anger part. Now I'm just observing. Observing what? How fast someone can destroy what they built, I said. And how easy it is to confuse courage with cowardice when you're trying to justify yourself. She nodded slowly. He's going to regret this. He already does, I said. He just doesn't know it yet. Later that night, I checked my phone one last time. A single notification. A new Instagram post. Liam and a woman, unmistakably the gym girl, arms around each other at a wine bar. Caption. Exploring new connections. The comments were a mix of confusion and praise. Wait, what happened to Clara? You two look great. She's glowing. He'd finally gotten his open moment. And somehow watching it didn't hurt. It just confirmed what I already knew. Some people don't want partners. They want mirrors. And when the reflection stops flattering them, they find another. I locked my phone, leaned back on Jenna's couch, and whispered into the dark. You want it open, Liam. I hope you like the draft. The universe, it turns out, has an impeccable sense of humor. By Thursday, Liam's grand open relationship experiment had officially entered its self-destruct phase. I didn't have to lift a finger. He was doing all the heavy lifting himself. Cassidy texted me first. It was 9:17 a.m., a message I didn't expect. Hey, sorry if this is weird. Your boyfriend's been coming to the shop a lot lately. He just sits there, doesn't order anything. Yesterday he stared at me for an hour, then left. Is he okay? I stared at the message for a full minute before typing back. He's not my boyfriend, not anymore. And no, he's not okay. But that's not your fault. She didn't reply. But 20 minutes later, I saw him on her Instagram story, untagged, background blur, sitting alone in the corner of the cafe, like a ghost refusing to leave the house he built. That's when I realized he wasn't open. He was unraveling. By Friday, the situation escalated. Jenna found me at work, phone in hand, eyes wide. You're not going to believe this. She flipped her screen toward me. A video, muted, posted by one of Liam's gym buddies. There he was, pacing in the corner of the gym, phone pressed to his ear, shouting. The caption read, "Dude's losing it over some HR drama. Had yikes." I didn't need the sound. I could read his lips. She ruined everything. That night, the knock on my office door came from Chloe. She looked torn between guilt and fury. He's spiraling, Clara. He's been calling Mom, Dad, everyone, saying you're trying to destroy his career. I raised an eyebrow. Destroy his career? By staying quiet? Chloe sighed. He went to HR, Clara. He's saying Heather's targeting him because of personal bias, that you and Cassidy set him up. I laughed then, softly. That's impressive. He's managed to turn his own decision into a conspiracy. I'm sorry, Chloe said. He's my brother, but he's lost it. I know, I said quietly. And he's about to learn that actions aren't reversible just because you regret them. Saturday night. I should have stayed home. Instead, I agreed to meet Jenna for dinner at La Piazza, a small Italian place with dim lights and soft jazz, the kind of place that makes heartbreak look cinematic. When I walked in, Cassidy was already there. She waved, a small, hesitant smile. Hey, I wasn't sure if you'd come. I almost didn't, I admitted, but then I thought, why not? You've been decent through all this. We ordered wine, talked about work, music, life, the kind of conversation that flows easily between two women who've both been burned by the same match. Then, halfway through dinner, the door chimed, and there he was, Liam, with her, Alina, the gym girl. They stood at the entrance waiting to be seated, all dressed up like a couple who hadn't burned the bridge behind them. I could feel Cassidy freeze beside me. The hostess led them through the narrow aisle, and of course there were 20 empty tables. But where did she try to seat them? Right next to ours. Ma'am, Cassidy said calmly, can you seat them anywhere else, please? The hostess looked confused. It's free seating, miss. Liam smirked, hand on Alina's back. We're fine here. That was when something inside me clicked. Not rage, not jealousy, but the cold, crystalline clarity of someone who's done being polite. I set my wine glass down. Actually, I said to Cassidy, we were just leaving. She nodded immediately, gathering her purse. We both stood up. But as we passed, Liam reached out, fingers brushing my wrist. Clara, wait, we need to talk. I turned, slow and steady. We really don't. He looked around, lowering his voice. You can't keep ignoring me. You live with me. No, I said, gently removing his hand. You live with you. I've been gone for days, remember? Alina frowned, confused. Wait, gone? I smiled at her, just enough to sting. He didn't tell you? He's been trying to evict me emotionally for weeks. Liam's jaw tightened. Don't do this here. Why not? You love an audience. Cassidy tugged my sleeve, whispering, let's go. We turned to leave, but Alina's voice followed, sharp. What's she talking about? Liam tried to laugh it off. She's just the girlfriend he opened his relationship with, I finished. Except I wasn't the one opening anything. Every head in the nearby tables turned. Liam's face went white. Alina stepped back, disgust replacing confusion. You said you were single. Cassidy exhaled softly. Wow, you didn't even wait for the ink to dry. I smiled faintly. He never does. Then I walked out, slow, deliberate, like leaving a burning building without looking back. He showed up outside 10 minutes later, while Cassidy and I waited for our rides. "Clara," he called, his voice cracking. "Stop walking away from me." I turned. "You started it." "You're being cruel." I stepped closer, voice low but firm. "No, I'm being honest. You made a decision, Liam. You don't get to cry about the consequences now." He looked desperate. "I made a mistake, okay? I was confused." "No," I said quietly. "You were selfish. There's a difference." The streetlight caught his face, sweat beading, eyes red. For a brief moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then a deep voice broke the silence. "Babe, our table's ready," Alina said from the doorway, cold as glass. Liam turned, but she was already walking away. He looked back at me, pleading, "Clara, please." But I was already gone, sliding into the back of a cab. As we pulled away, I watched his figure shrink in the rearview mirror, small, frantic, drowning in the mess he built. By Sunday morning, the gossip had made its way through his company. HR had scheduled a meeting with Heather. His colleagues were whispering. His reputation was cracking. He texted once more. "You've made your point. Can we fix this?" I typed back. "It's not my point you're living. It's your lesson." When Jenna asked me later how it felt seeing him like that, I said something that surprised even me. "It didn't feel like revenge," I said. "It felt like closure dressed in fire. Because the truth was, I hadn't set him up. I'd simply stopped cushioning his fall. And for the first time in 4 years, Liam was finally learning what it meant to hit the ground alone. Monday morning arrived like a bruise I didn't feel until the sunlight hit it. I woke up in Jenna's spare room. Bare walls, cheap blinds, the faint hum of her neighbor's AC. The kind of quiet that feels like an answer. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hi, Clara, this is Heather Martinez. I apologize for reaching out like this, but I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Are you available for coffee tomorrow morning?" I stared at the message, blinking. Heather Martinez, Liam's boss, Cassidy's mother. The orbit had finally completed its perfect chaotic circle. I screenshotted the message and sent it to Jenna with one line. "The universe has a sense of humor." She replied instantly. "Are you going?" "Absolutely. Someone has to close the curtain. Tuesday." The cafe was half empty when I arrived. The same place where Cassidy used to serve me oat milk lattes with quiet empathy. Heather was already seated, posture immaculate, phone face down beside a black notebook. Her expression was the kind that could freeze a boardroom. "Clara," she greeted, standing to shake my hand. "Thank you for coming." "Of course," I said, sitting opposite her. "I imagine this isn't your typical morning meeting." She smiled faintly, not even close. For a moment, she studied me, not with hostility, but curiosity. "I'll be blunt. I know about the situation between you, Liam, and my daughter." I nodded, calm. "So does half your office, apparently." She sighed. "Yes, unfortunately." The air between us was thick with shared exhaustion, two women cleaning up the same man's mess from opposite sides of the table. "I want to start by saying," Heather continued, "Cassidy is an adult. She makes her own choices, but I am concerned about the professional implications. Liam has been volatile lately." "That's an understatement," I said softly. Heather tilted her head. "You've known him longer. Was this behavior typical?" "No," I said truthfully. "He used to be careful, controlled, but he likes control the way a child likes matches, fascinated until something burns." A small smile tugged at her lips. "That's poetic." "Occupational hazard," I said. "I work in marketing. I romanticize disasters for a living." Heather chuckled, then exhaled slowly. "Well, the disaster may be wrapping up soon. I've been documenting his behavior for months. Late arrivals, unprofessional conduct, using office time for personal matters. This recent spectacle just confirmed everything." "So he's losing his job?" I asked. She hesitated, then nodded. "Effective this week." I didn't smile, not outwardly. Inside, something simply clicked into alignment. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I didn't reach out to gossip," Heather said. "I wanted you to hear it from someone who isn't him. I can see you've been painted as the villain in his story." "That's fine," I said. "Villains sleep better than martyrs." Heather's eyes softened. "Cassidy speaks highly of you, you know." That caught me off guard. "She does?" "Yes. She said you were kind, composed, that you didn't deserve any of this." I looked down at my coffee, the swirl of foam already collapsing. She didn't deserve it either. Heather nodded. "Then maybe it's time to let what's left collapse on its own." By Saturday, I'd decided it was time to go back. Not to reconcile, but to reclaim what was mine. Jenna and 2 friends came with me. For moral support, they said, but really to witness the aftermath. The apartment door was unlocked. Liam was inside, sitting on the couch, eyes hollowed out. The confidence that once filled a room now barely filled a seat. He didn't look up when I entered. "You're here for your stuff," he muttered. "Among other things," I said. Everywhere I looked, neon-colored sticky notes covered my belongings. Mine, used by me, shared. He'd labeled everything, even the coffee maker I bought before we met. Jenna whispered, "Wow, he's unhinged." I ignored her. "You really went all out, huh?" He shrugged. "Just being clear." "Funny," I said, picking up the PlayStation box. "You weren't this thorough when defining our relationship." He glared. "I can't believe you're enjoying this." "I'm not," I said quietly. "I'm just finishing what you started." While packing, I opened the closet to grab my winter coat and froze. Inside was a small box tucked behind a pile of gym towels. Receipts, notes, birthday cards, all from Alina, dated months before our breakup. So the truth wasn't just emotional cheating. It was a full-blown rehearsal. I placed the box on the table between us. "How long?" He looked up. "What?" I pointed at it. "How long were you with her before the grand announcement?" He ran a hand over his face. "It wasn't like that." "November," I interrupted, flipping through the receipts. "You bought her roses in November. You declared us open in March. That's 4 months of practice runs." He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "That's the difference between intent and impact," I said. "One you own, the other you clean up." When we started packing the kitchen, the tension cracked again. "That blender's mine," he said sharply. "You don't cook," I replied. "I was going to start." "When?" I asked. "Between gym sessions or lies?" He clenched his jaw. "Maybe you should just take your things and go." "Gladly," I said. "You can keep the decorations. They match your delusion." When everything was finally in boxes, I took one last look at the place that used to be ours. The couch where we watched movies. The wall where we hung our first photo. The space where I used to wait for his footsteps at night. It all looked so small now, like the memory had shrunk to fit the truth. He stood there, arms folded, anger masking fear. "You'll regret this," he said quietly. I smiled, not cruelly, just tired. "No, Liam, you will. You already do." And I walked out. Monday afternoon, my phone buzzed again. "Liam, I got fired. Are you happy now? This is your fault. You ruined my life. Cassidy made her mom do it. You'll both be sorry." I forwarded the messages to Heather, along with screenshots from Alina's tagged posts showing them together during work hours. Her reply came 5 minutes later. "Thank you. This confirms our documentation. He was terminated for time card fraud and absence without leave. Has nothing to do with you or Cassidy. If he continues harassing you, let me know." I typed back. "He won't. His noise always stops when the consequences arrive." That night, I sat alone in my new apartment. Smaller, quieter, cleaner. I unpacked my coffee maker first, set it on the counter, and watched as the first stream of espresso filled the cup. The smell hit me, rich and familiar. For the first time in months, it didn't remind me of him. It reminded me of mornings that belonged entirely to me. When my phone buzzed again, it was a single text from an unsaved number. "Can we please talk? I miss us." I stared at it for a long time before replying. "There is no us. You ended that the night you made a decision for 2 people all by yourself." Seconds later, the typing bubble appeared, then vanished. I blocked the number, and just like that, the noise stopped. Jenna came by later with takeout and a grin. "So, what now?" I smiled, sipping my coffee. "Now?" I breathed. She nodded approvingly. "You really did it, huh?" "Yeah," I said quietly. He wanted freedom. I just let him live with it. Outside, the city lights flickered like tiny apologies. Inside, the coffee machine hummed. Steady, calm, mine.